and we're trying to keep people happy. And so we had these 2 town halls. I think they were both very successful. We heard from people around the city. We heard from folks up in Beach Hill, which is the top right part of our city, up in this section here. And we heard them say that they wanted to be in the 6th council district where they currently are represented. We heard from some people here on the west side around Warburton Avenue who said that, well, we were previously represented by council people in the 1st or 3rd. We don't want to be in the 6th. So we heard a lot of public comment, very good public comment. We heard from some neighborhood groups who said, look, we were once represented by 1 council member, and now under the proposal, we're represented by 2. So we're going to try to incorporate some of that where we can push that feedback into a new proposed map. But what we released 2 weeks ago, it's a proposal. It's a proposal that was sent out. It gave us a starting point. We get to hear comment from the community, and we go from there. We try to incorporate some of the feedback, and then ultimately in the next, hopefully this week, hopefully we'll have a new map, and then.
And lots of people. Good morning. Message to everybody that's operating in the street game. This is a message. I need you to pay attention and listen so you can understand what's going on.
Freddie wins.
I am Freddie Vasquez. This is based. I'm Freddie Vasquez. This is Basement Politics Unfiltered. Good evening, folks. That was John Rubbo talking on Yonkers Voice in regards to the redistricting. What else did John Rubbo have to say, folks? Let's talk about it. I was going to actually do another podcast on commissioners, which I'll maybe get to tomorrow, but I also want to discuss the Memphis incident that happened there with Anthony DiMaggio, and I'll get to that. But I saw, I was sent actually, I was sent the videos. Actually, a couple of people sent me the video of John Rubbo and his interview with the Yonkers Voice in regards to the redistricting, right? And I wanted to go over that because that's, important. It's happening now, and we need to, have this information as soon as possible. There's going to be another public hearing tomorrow. And so if this is something that you are, very much paying attention to and following, either make sure you're there tomorrow or watch it on the city council page or wherever else. I'm going to also be broadcasting, much of it, but so I'll be there. So, tune in. So I wanted to talk about this. I think it's important that we discuss. So that was John Rubbo there, right? Talking about, he talks about the reasons for the redistricting, right? And he says we have to do this. This is something that's done every 10 years. And it's done according to, the information they get from the census, and it's federally mandated, right? And so he's saying it's not something that we decided to do. We're looking to do anything nefarious or underhanded. He feels that they're being very transparent, and he also feels that they've done, a good effort, right, in letting people know that this was happening by the town halls that they've had and other means of communication with the residents of the city. So he's very, pleased. He says everything, as far as he's concerned, it was a great, effort, and, they're doing a great job. But that's in contradiction to what pretty much everyone I saw speak at the meeting, attend the meeting, felt or was saying, right? Complete opposite. People felt that there wasn't enough transparency, that they were not informed in enough time, right? And that maybe something is going on, something underhanded is happening here, right? With John Rubbo, right? And someone sent me a video of John Rubbo where it's him, and they kind of edited to say he's doing some sketchy stuff. Time to do some sketchy-ish, right? And you want to see that video? I don't know who did that. That was not me, although they think I do all that stuff. But anyway, I'm going to show you the next video here. John Rubbo again discussing
the voting that was supposed to be
redistricting
tomorrow.
Well, we had an option for it to vote tomorrow. We did not, last week, we did not put this item on our agenda for tomorrow night. And I don't think any of the council members were in a rush to get this done tomorrow. We do need to get it done soon because the Board of Elections needs the new information so that this way they can populate it into their system, because we have elections upcoming. And so the Board of Elections needs the info.
So he says, they're not rushing to be, so we're going to wait on it. They were supposed to vote on it. But if you remember the last meeting, the city council president said that, she heard everyone. She was well aware of how people felt, and that she was not going to move forward with putting it on the agenda to go ahead and vote on it this week or tomorrow, and that they're going to, take more time, consider what was said that evening at the Will Library, which was a lot more they gave, than the people who attended the Riverfront Library, right? She didn't even really speak at all, I don't think, or maybe once, she spoke, but not much. And she said, we're going to go ahead and maybe, come up with new maps, right? And then present that and see what the people think then. I mean, and I feel that, that was done really because of the people that came out and were speaking out against it. And there were a lot of people from a lot of, communities, affluent communities, communities that, have influence, that people will make some noise, sophisticated, high income individuals, who were out there and who were pissed off, right? Individuals like those who live in Grambleton Hills. Grambleton Hills, as it stands now, is in the 6th district. They're represented by Anthony Moranti. But if the new district maps are passed, that community will be split up into 2 and put into new districts. I believe it would be districts 4 and 5. So they would be not only split up, but put into completely 2 new districts. So neither one of the 2 would have their same councilman. So they have to kind of start over. And they felt like, well, as a community, we come together and we, voice our concerns to one person, and that's Anthony Moranti, someone who we've, come to know over the years. And again, this is a community that, is very vocal. Individuals, high income, they come out, they will push the issue, right? And so I'm sure Anthony Moranti has paid them a lot of attention over the years, right? And so they like that. And they don't want to have to now, develop new relationships with, possibly John Rubbo or, Mike Breen, especially Mike Breen. I'm sure they know all about Breen, right? I don't know who wants Mike Breen as their councilman, right? Even if Breen doesn't have a challenger, he still has to cheat in that race, right? Right? That's just how it is. So,
so this is one of the
Breen is not a popular councilman. So I want to go on to another video here of John Rubbo.
Yonkers Voice. Good morning, people from my city. Today, we are sitting here with the councilman, John Rubbo, because we need to inform the people what's going on with this redistricting, but in small bites so we can understand, because most of us, including we don't understand the complexity of certain things. There is a lot of misunderstanding. People think that this is being done to help somebody, which is not the case. This is a mandate from New York State, right?
It's federally mandated.
It's federally mandated.
Right.
So please take this opportunity to.
Sure. Thank you for having me, Ru. As always, my name is John Rubbo. I'm the councilman from the 4th Council District. And I appreciate you giving me an opportunity to speak a little bit about the topic. So redistricting. The Yonkers City Council is not redistricting for the heck of it. We didn't wake up one day and say, hey, let's redraw the maps in Yonkers.
Yeah, we know that.
Per the Voters' Right Act, this is something that's mandated. It must be done every 10 years following the census. And so here we are, following the census. Our city charter, which are the rules and laws that govern the city of Yonkers, the charter does not require redistricting. It doesn't really talk about redistricting. It talks about wards, and we have 12 wards around the city. And so in September, we began to look at all the wards and ward reapportionment. So that's been taken care of. So now redistricting. First, I want to say I want to commend my colleagues. We've had two town hall meetings. Tomorrow evening here at City Hall, we're going to be having a public hearing. And so we're taking a significant amount of public comment. There were a few people who came out to the town halls and were a little critical about how transparent we were being.
A little.
But I think that this council is being very transparent. We were chatting with some people who had been in previous administrations, and they said they never had a town hall. They never had a public hearing. They took the maps, they redrew them, they put them in front of council members, and they voted on them. And that was to the extent that the public saw what happened.
And they never had something like this either.
And they never had the Yonkers voice.
Yeah, so. That's correct. Because look, transparency is there.
It's very important.
At different levels, we have.
Transparency is very important. Yes, absolutely. And he says that he has to commend his colleagues for the effort that they have, done in informing the people and hearing what the people had to say about this redistricting, the proposed maps. He says, we had two town hall meetings, right? And he says that there were a few people, right? He minimizes it, right? A few people there that, felt that, there wasn't, enough transparency, or they didn't do enough maybe to be informed, right? There was more than a few people. And this isn't the first time that something, like this has been happening, something that's big, that's going to impact the city has been going on. And they really didn't notify the people well enough or give them enough time, right? And I'm speaking of the term limit extension, where they pushed that through. And here we are, they're doing the same exact thing. And I think that's what has people even more upset, right? You're trying to push this through again. Not only are you not even trying, not giving us enough time or communicating, with us effectively, you're also splitting our communities. You're splitting up, neighborhoods and streets, putting us into completely new districts. And then you're rushing this through. But he says that he feels that they've done a good job, and he has to commend his colleagues, right? So it seems like he's almost out of touch with the people. There were only a few people. No, everyone that was there pretty much felt the same way. They felt that, this was being rushed. They weren't given enough time to fully understand it. He tries to explain it by saying, hey, it's not the council that's just redistricting, right? We didn't just wake up, as he says, and decide to do this one day. And I think that, that's a bit, insulting our intelligence, right? Because we know that. John Rubbo, we understand, right? This is being federally mandated, right? Happens every 10 years. We understand that. That still does not mean that the complaints that residents have are not, are not very real, right? And so you're not validating their concerns and their, complaints at all by saying that, right? It's not us. We have to do this. We're not doing anything underhanded, and I must commend my colleagues for doing a great job in letting the people know. John, you have to, if you're going to represent people, you have to truly, care about what they're saying. And you show that by, validating their feelings, whether you agree with it or not, right? You still validate their feelings and don't dismiss them, right? And so, and I have to agree with the people, John, and everyone there was upset. And so, I'm going to play some more, I guess. I see if there's anything else here. No. So anyway, they definitely obviously heard the people, and they know that there was more than a few people that were upset, which is why they decided not to vote on it tomorrow and instead have another public hearing.
So over time, populations move, they shift, and redistricting is important. It's a means to make sure that everyone is represented fairly. You're represented fairly, by population, by race, that no one is discriminated against, and that's why we redistrict. There are minority coalition districts, and that's also federally mandated. And what that means is that you keep voting blocks together. Hispanic voting blocks, Black voting blocks, you keep these blocks together so that they have an opportunity to elect the person of their choice, typically who they feel would best represent their community.
Now, I speak with
So he mentioned something that I have not heard of, minority coalition districts. Minority coalition districts, basically districts with minority voting blocks that are kept together and not split up in these, when they redistrict, in order to assure that they have the ability to vote for the candidate that they want. But it's, I guess, minority coalition districts, right? It's not white coalition district. And whites are pretty much becoming the minority if you look at the statistics, right? But obviously that doesn't apply to whites, however, because many whites were upset. Their community was divided in half. They were put into 2 new districts, new council members, right? That when I'm speaking of Gramerton Hills specifically, divided right down the middle. But they keep the minority coalition districts. And now I wonder, do they utilize that, right? Do they take that and say, we can use this to our advantage and strategies to, get or win elections, right? I would imagine they do that, right? And so I don't know how they're doing the redistricting, right? I tried to look at the data. I don't know if some of you have seen some of the stuff that they put out there. It's not the easiest to understand, right? So I couldn't all the way figure out how they do it, what really are they, the reasons for the way they shifted these lines and all that. I really don't know, but I guess they definitely look out for minorities, districts where, they have these voting blocks. So they try to keep them together, I guess, minority coalition districts. I just thought that was important. I wanted to let folks hear that.
In a room, as a caucus, a Democratic caucus, we took a look at the maps. And the maps are broken out by precincts that have population. The only thing we look at is moving populations to make the districts more evenly spread out. The other, I think, goal we had, if you take a look at this current map, which is the current council map, the 3rd district, for example, comes all the way from Hastings down through the middle of the city and then down to the southwest side of the city and wraps up and around. It's a very sloppy map. And so one of the things we tried to do, and I think you'll see at the end of the day, the finished product will have much more concise districts. There'll be cleaner districts, concise districts, and they'll I think, have the community's best interests in mind.
so if you have
He thinks they'll have the community's best interest in mind. Well, it doesn't seem that way based on the meetings. And when you divide a community right down the middle, a community that's learned to come together and work together and, voice their concerns together, be a community, right? Be united. And you come and divide them right down the middle and then give them 2 completely new council members, council representatives, one of them being you, right? You're not looking out for the best interest of the people, John. That's for sure. He has become an expert at covering up the BS. He said in the past, this never was announced on social media and never had town halls. Well, not everyone was on social media 10 and 20 years ago. This time is different. The mayor, Mike Breen, are running for a 4th time. Why was Ron Mattin moved? Why was? Absolutely. And that's why and I was going to get to that. That's why he's mentioning this, right? He's talking about how what they look for when they redistricting has nothing to do with parties. All right, that's what he says. Has nothing to do with race. Has nothing to do with anything other than trying to adjust for the population changes, right? And to make sure that the districts are fair, right, and it benefits the people. And then, he says, and he says that, I spoke to previous, officials or whatever, and they said they never even held a town hall. This is, something that's new. Here in Yonkers, we have to be happy for the little bit that we get. We've never given them anything to eat before. We would let them starve. Now we give them a crumb, right? Yay for the crumb. Yeah, you guys are so amazing and great, right? It's unbelievable what they expect us to really be like, happy about. Or say, wow, oh, you guys did a great job because you did just this much, right? So thank you for doing town halls, but that does not mean you still should not have done more. and if the people say we were not aware, and many people are saying that, then obviously you failed somewhere, John. You guys failed. You did not do enough. Why wasn't it on News 12? What about low HUD? Right? You announce everything else. You announce your, runs for campaign, for mayor, for the council, whatever, and everything else great you do. Why didn't you get them involved? Why didn't you do a social media blast? And as someone says, not everybody was on social media back then. So of course they wouldn't do social media back then. But even now, not everybody's on the computer now, right? And they think they're slick. You have to watch that, peep the game. They will come talk about how so many people are without Wi-Fi and laptops and computers. So many people don't have access to the internet. They know this fact. Because when it, benefits them to speak about it, like when they're asking for more money from the federal government and they want to get these grants to ensure that, everyone has access to Wi-Fi and laptops, they talk about the fact that people don't have access to the internet, right? They talk about that. And our seniors, at times, many times don't have access to the internet or even want to have access to the internet, right? So they know that there's a large segment of the population that don't have access to the internet, yet and still, right? They make it seem like, oh, we put it out on social media, so we did every effort. But you guys know that so many don't have access. So what are you talking about, John? Were there any flyers put out? Did people go knocking on the doors? What did the district leaders do? Do they only go knocking on doors when you guys are running for office? Why don't you have them go out there and knock on doors? Say, hey, we're going to be redistricting. Make sure you come out to the meeting. We want to hear your thoughts and your inputs, right? You guys didn't do everything you could have done. Ali cut out. Why does Tasha now have a lot of the areas she handed out food? Right. So the reason, again, John was saying this is because a lot of people, right, are saying, believe that this was done to cut Moranti 1 out of District 5. Everyone knows that Moranti was going to be running for District 5 against Breen, and he probably was going to be winning that race. So they had to get him out of there because they owe Breen a favor. They got to hook Breen up for what he has done for the Yonkers Democratic Party that's headed by the Spano administration. And so for that, they cut Breen out, which is why they did that funny little loop thing, right? And they made Moranti's district at the same time more Democratic by adding Democrats, a lot of Democrats from Crestwood Lake Apartments that were once in District 5. They took out a lot of the Republicans from District 6. And I'm referring to going back to the people at Gramerton Hills. Nice people. I met one or two of them. Those are the gentleman that did the flyer. He went out. See, they take the initiative. This is what we all have to do in every community. Come out. When they don't do their job, we have to pick up the slack. So they thought they were slick. And so then they cut those people out of Moranti's district. A lot of them are Republican there. And they put them into John's district. And they put another half into Tasha's district, right? Was it 4? No, John and Breen's district. I'm sorry. So they put more Republicans, right? Some of the Republicans from Gramerton Hills into Breen's district, taking them out of 6, and they put some into John's district. So that was the plan. Hurt Moranti, get him, from being reelected if he were to run for, reelection, right? Make sure that Breen had no Ron Matten to challenge him in his reelection bid. Now that he's able to run for the 4th time for reelection, a man that has done absolutely nothing for the city of Yonkers. Absolutely nothing. You know what comes to mind when I think of Mike Breen? The legislation for the 3rd term extension with Michael Sabatino, right? I think of the legislation he introduced, and I believe it might have been by himself, to lower the requirements for the position of building department commissioner, so that Sam Borelli could have the job. And I'll be talking more about that in my commissioner series when I do podcast series on the different commissioners of the different departments here. I'm going to be starting with DPW. Tom Meyer, Tom T. I know you want to to try and sue me. I heard about that. You want to see if you can sue me, right? But if it's true, it's true, Tommy. If it's true, it's true, right? And so, we have to, see this. We have to see the games that they're playing and not allow for this man from the Yonkers voice. And unfortunately, I have to use this footage because they don't come on my show, right? And so it is what it is. I'll just use this opportunity to dissect what they say, right? And point out the lies and the discrepancies in what they're saying. I'll be doing that this way. So this is what I do this. So, they know what they were doing. They know exactly what they were doing, that they wanted to hurt Moranti because he's the only Republican probably that's not all the way sold out, right? Although some people, and you have to watch for this, you really have to watch for this, believe that maybe Moranti is a part of it and they are just selling it very good, trying to sell it good, right? Because I mean, after all, the Republican Party is destroyed. It's destroyed. We know Justin Tubiolo is compromised. His son David is now a Democrat. We see what Breen's been up to. See, Breen pretty much, is a Spano employee, right? Let's just say he's a Spano employee. And so that's what this was all about. The weird lines that they drew and why people say it looked like a little child drew the lines. Yeah, because they were trying to make sure that they could get Breen, in 5 without Ron, so he wouldn't be able to run against him. And they wanted to make sure that they added, more Democrats to District 6 while taking out Republicans from District 6. And that is why Gramerton Hills got split up like that and put into two different districts. That's a fact, and it is what it is. Looks like Tasha now has Linden and Oak Street. So Tasha now has a lot of the areas she handed out food. And I want to get back to that. And that's because she got to know them, right, over the time that she was handing out that food. So what they do is they get their information. And I know this from volunteers who have volunteered at these food drives, okay? And they've told me a lot. My sources are everywhere, and it's multiple sources. So, I mean, you guys try to do what you want. I'm going to have a source either way, right? And everywhere. So they told me that they get their information. They write it down. If they're new, how you doing? Your name is what? Michelle Rodriguez. Oh, you live something. Oh, how you doing, Michelle? Yeah, come anytime, Michelle. We'll hook you up. Blah, 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 blah. They'd be super nice when they first come there, right? And they get their name, their address, their email, phone number. And so part of the campaign strategies that they use is to then take that list of names, right, and addresses and go and get the ballots. They go up to the Board of Elections, right? But they couldn't do it all without the help of certain individuals, like a gentleman by the name of Phil Jalil. I can never say his last name, but I'm going to be talking about him soon also, right? He's a Spano Zehi operative, best believe. And he was, I don't know if he still is, but I know he was working as the IT guy, cybersecurity up in the Board of Elections. So if you have access to the cybersecurity, security systems of the networks of the Board of Elections, what do you have access to also? Think about it. Right. And so they ballot harvest. So they go up there, send people up there to get these individuals ballots because you can. Why? This is what I'm saying. This should not be allowed. No one should go up there and be able to get 4 ballots that are not theirs. But that's what they do. And so now they're going to utilize that with Tasha Diaz, now that she has some of that district, I guess, that area. And that's what we're going to do. And the same with Ali, right? Raquel Ali. She was going to run against Tasha Diaz. I mean, we won her out. People won her out. I'm not even in her district, and I won her out. Because again, it doesn't matter if you're not in these individuals' districts, they still impact you. They still have an impact on you at times. So it's important that, we do care about other council districts and who are the ones representing those districts. So, Raquel Ali was going to be a good, challenger, a very good challenger. And, not to take anything from Raquel Ali, but it takes a whole lot, right, to be a lot better than Tasha. But Raquel was so amazingly beyond Tasha that I know she was going to take it. But that's why they had to do what they did to assure that she wouldn't run against Tasha, right? That's Zehi Jarris's girl. That's his girl. That's his girl, Seda. That's his girl. I'm just saying, Seda. Right? Mike Breen said term limits was a bad idea. 3 weeks later, he voted for it. Well, let's go through the timeline, right? Mike Breen was initially supporting term extensions, right? Extending the term, right? And he said a joke, quick quote pro, yeah. He said a joke at the retiring ceremony for the former chairman of the Zoning Board of Appeals. Right now, Wilson Kimball is the chair. She got them all pushed out. She got these 3 individuals pushed out. He was one of them, right? He had been there 50 years, volunteering his time. I mean, the man loved the job. I mean, he was crying. He was tearing up and everything. You know, the man loved the job. And, you know, he was retiring. And so Mike Breen goes up and says, you know, he is the guy that was retiring, having been there with 50 years, was a great example of why we didn't need term limits, right? So he said that, right? He's a perfect example of why we shouldn't have term limits, right? And then John Rubbo actually goes behind and follows up, and then he goes, oh, that was a shameless plug or something like that, and everybody laughs. And I think I have put that audio up, but I do have that audio, right? And so he was for it then. Then he goes on to Yonkers Voice, and he says, no, I believe in term limits. You know, there's a reason for term limits. The president has term limits, right? He was all for term limits, right? And I don't know if he was just upset because the Spanos went and endorsed Nader Sage, who he was running for at the time when he said that on the Yonkers Voice. Remember, he was running for assembly against Nader Sage. But the Spanos, Nick Spano, Mike Spano, they made an appearance over at Nader Sage's kickoff thing or wherever he was announcing, and so they endorsed him, right? And so I don't know if that's what that was about, but he was against extending the terms. And then that changed. That changed the day it came to, you know, voting on the Lakeisha Collins Bellamy introduced legislation of extending term limits, creating a 4th term, and he was for it. And he even went and said, you know, this whole spiel about how he thought it was a good idea for this, that, and the third, right? So these people flip-flop. These people just do as they're told. You know, they do it when they're told to do it. And someone like Breen asks no questions. Now, someone like Tasha does kind of, you know, give a little pushback, right? And sometimes he has to be checked. And that's why Vinny Spano told me about her assaulting her stepdad, just to keep her in check. Yes, eliminating the PE engineer license was Breen's idea. Yeah, that was his legislation. Claimed they couldn't get a candidate for building department commissioner who held that license. So what they do, hire a deputy building commissioner who has the license, right? So they found him, but they just made him the deputy, right? He will do all heavy lifting, but Borelli will make the money and call the shots. Well, Borelli, as the commissioner, has to sign off on these documents, right? So while a deputy will do all the heavy lifting, he's not going to be signing off. It's going to be Borelli. So the reason they were having trouble finding an individual with a license, right, a licensed engineer, whatever, is because no respectable licensed engineer would have taken that job and signed off on the things they wanted them to sign off on. Sam Borelli, the crash test dummy, he's going to do that. Right? He doesn't care. He does whatever. I mean, that's how he's been surviving from decades ago. I mean, the man's been everywhere, right? He ran for mayor at one point. He was the deputy commissioner of DPW, where he was suspended for 2 weeks, I believe, without pay after the inspector general at the time, Brandon McGrath, who is now over at Macy, right, investigated him into, you know, some of the contracts that he awarded to his own company, or his son's company, quote, son's company. But it was his company, right? And so they got some city contracts. So he got suspended for that, but he kept his job. And then they were nice enough to reduce the requirement for the building department commissioner so they can hire him, because they couldn't find anyone, so they say, and they needed someone who can manage, you know, well, who had great managerial skills. But that's what they say about everybody they appoint. And I'm going to be talking about that in my commissioner series. Vincent Pesci, right? Pesci, he was the former building department commissioner. He was a licensed engineer. And they said he didn't, he wasn't moving things along, right? He was slow. He didn't want to, get the job. It wasn't that. It's because he didn't want to sign off on some of that stuff. He's like, I'm not with that. I'm not going to do it. But when they first hired Vincent, They said the same exact thing about him as they did Samborelli. In fact, they've said that about a lot of people. They've said that about Tom Meyer when they appointed him back in 2011 as the commissioner of DPW. Back in December of 2011, Mayor Spano appointed him DPW commissioner, said because of his managerial skills. It's, almost verbatim, right? So it's all BS. It's all BS. And this is all a game. And you know what? Hollywood on the Hudson, it's fitting. It's very fitting for the movie that we're in, right? We're in a movie here, folks. If Moranti's campaign message continues to be soft and doesn't expose Mike Spano's administration, he will lose 1,000%, right? And this is what I'm saying. Moranti has been involved in the city council for 5 years now, right? Back in 2018, he was voted in, and whatever, and he hasn't really ever spoken out really anything, any strong message, against what the administration has done. He was head of the finance. He was the chair of the finance committee. He's an accountant by trade. He should understand the budget, the books better than any of the council there, right? So where is the money? How is the money being spent? Why is it that we're always constantly short, Moranti? You should know. But he doesn't say anything. Doesn't say, anything different than what every other elected official says. The state has not given us enough money. They are not paying their fair share. And cities like Rochester get so much more money, right? But they don't tell you all the details about that comparison. There's a reason why they get more money. And if you understood it and they gave you those details, then you would know why. And you would say, well, that's the reason why you can't make that comparison. But they think they're slick. Most people do not understand this. And they know that. They understand that. And so they try to play a game on most people, as John Rubbo is doing. And so this is why I'm here. This is why I do base in politics, to try and break it down as best as I can even understand it, because sometimes they'll have my head spinning as well, as I'm sure many of you guys. They repeat the same words for people, the same thing, the same campaign message. It's like, with this incident now in Memphis, right? Hopefully this is something where we can learn from, and, there'll be some reform coming. Well, that's what was said the last 20 times it happened. So when is the reform and change actually going to happen? Right? It's a game. We're in a matrix. It's a broken record. Do I hear Lionsgate? Not fast enough. What do you mean? I'm sorry. Do I hear Lionsgate? Not fast enough. We go to the next video here.
Well, we haven't really adjusted. We haven't looked at Republican or Democrat. We're not looking at, are we making one more Democratic than Republican? The city is primarily democratically enrolled in terms of, voting block. But that's not what we were taking a look at. We're strictly taking a look at population, spreading the population around.
I understand. I understand that. I've been explained it, but the reason why I'm asking these questions is not for my person, but it's so the people who are watching it understand that this is not being done to favor one person or another.
No, that's illegal. So we couldn't even possibly do that, because once we start doing that, then you open yourself to, again, discrimination, to lawsuits, and this city council is not interested in that. I would never speak on behalf of my colleagues. In this case, I'll speak on behalf of my colleagues to say that we're trying to stay away from any sort of legal ramifications and creating a map that would push that. So what we're trying to do is create a district that's fair, like especially the 3rd district. And I keep pointing to the 3rd, but it literally goes from Hastings and it wraps all the way around.
Oh, that face. Folks, this guy you're right, William, he is full of it. I'm in sales. I've trained people in sales. I've done very well in sales, actually. And I think not so much because I'm good at lying, because it's not really about lying. I think that, liars don't actually do well in sales. I think that the people who do good in sales are those that truly believe in what they're selling, right? And and they will, get people to really believe in what they're saying and be confident in, in their message, right? But John is full of crap, and I can tell. He doesn't believe what he's saying at all. He doesn't believe it. I can tell by his body language. I can tell by the words he's using, by the way that he's talking. They say that they don't do this, on party lines. It wasn't about trying to, hurt any one party or candidate, and they weren't trying to get some, Republicans here or Democrats. But that's absolutely what they were doing. It's absolutely what they were doing. And you can just tell by looking at the map. The little, I call tumor, that they now added to District 6. And I don't mean any insult to the people that live there. I'm just saying, it looks like a little tumor thing that sticks out of somebody's arm, right? That includes Crestwood Lake Apartments and Ron Matton, taking him out of District 5 so he won't run against Breen. That's absolutely what they were doing there. Splitting Gramerton Hills into 2 districts, removing them completely out of District 6, taking out Republicans from that district. Moranti, who represents that district, is a Republican. So they took Republicans out, the people in Gramerton Hills, and they put more Democrats in, the people from Crestwood Lake. That's exactly what they did. And why they didn't go forward with the vote is because the people at Gramerton Lake were pissed off. Again, these are educated individuals with higher incomes. They have the resources to pursue a lawsuit, and they made that threat. They told them at the Will Library, if you guys move forward with this district map, we're going to file a lawsuit. They were told this at both meetings. That's why they didn't vote on it. That's why they're not voting tomorrow. They don't want that lawsuit. That lawsuit would open up a real big can of worms. And so that's why they're going to go and adjust it. And it's going to be for the people in Gramerton Hills. Watch. Remember I said that. Imagine if those folks sued, the can of worms that would be opened up through discovery, with everything that these people have been doing in the city of Yonkers for past 12 years at least, and what they want to do for the next 4 years. And I'm glad that it's starting to affect a lot more people, not just people on the west side, because they are starting to see what's up. They're coming out to speak out now, and the number has grown. And this is what I've been saying. Folks on the east side, folks on the northeast side, you're going to be affected by these individuals' shady dealings and decision-making. They're being told exactly what to do on the city council. All of them are. And the only reason Moranti and Corazon voted against it, the term extension, was because they both want to run. And I don't know now if Corazon is going to run, because I'm hearing that they came to her and said, hey, if you don't run, we'll make you deputy mayor. But I hear that was also promised to John. But John, he's not Corazon. And what do I mean by that? She's a Latina woman. And for whatever reason, they think that the one person that could beat Mike Spano is a Latina woman. And not that I'm saying anything about Latina women, but I don't see why we should limit to a specific, characteristics, race or whatever. Anyone should have the ability to, beat Mike Spano. And I think anyone that's truly passionate, that comes out and capable and able and runs a strong campaign and just outs the corruption, puts it in their face. Here you go. This is what's happening. It's time for change. Can beat Mike Spano. Anyone that's willing to speak out about the corruption and what's actually been happening will beat Mike Spano. So Moranti, if you want to win, talk about the corruption that's been going on for all those years. Corazon, or are you going to settle for the deputy mayor position? Because I haven't heard a peep from you yet. No announcements. So did you take the deal? But shit, District 6 need more Republicans, but added more Democratic wards. They took Republican wards away and gave them to the 5th. Yeah. Because they wanted to take out Moranti, right? You see, Tim Hodges ran against Moranti in 2021 and he didn't win. You know, so they know that they have to do something to get Moranti out. And not because Moranti is so independent and he's the guy, but they need people like Tasha. They need people like John, right? They need people like Breen. They don't question anything. They just do whatever. They don't even think if it's illegal or not, right? They don't care. They're loyal soldiers. The Spano administration is number one to them, and that's what they want. And that's not how Moranti is, so they can't. And even Shanae, that's why they're trying to get her up to the county, although she's still with them, right? Because she still needs their support. That's still their baby, right? They still have to take care of her. And the only way she's going to get to the county, if have any chance against Chris or anybody, is if she has Zahi Jerris and the Spano behind her. And so they'll get behind her. They'll do what they did with Chris, got behind him, even though they didn't like him, to get him out of the city. They want to get you out, Shanae, too. Right? Everything about this council and mayor is illegal and no trust them. Right. And don't trust. Absolutely. And this is what I want people to understand. And we need to let everyone in the city know, and maybe start letting everyone in the state, everyone in the country. Maybe we need national news, because Yonkers is one of the most corrupt cities in the country. Not just the top 10 dirtiest, but top 10 corrupt. That's a fact, right? That's a fact. I'll tell you why Rochester and many upstate areas are depressed areas, exactly, which did not have the options for development as we had. But we gave away everything to developers. Absolutely. We're going back to the reason why places like Rochester, and they say Buffalo gets more money than Yonkers. Well, because as Jones said, they're very depressed areas. Those are very poor areas. In fact, I think it's Buffalo. Is it Buffalo or Rochester? The second poorest city in the country. They need the money. They don't generate the money that Yonkers does. And Moranti has said it as the finance guy. He said Yonkers generates a good amount of money. We do great with our revenue. You know, we generate a good revenue stream, right? Every year. So where is the money going? Why is it that we still are having to beg the state? You guys still blame the state when we constantly come up short. And how is it that we don't have money for schools and roads and other things that we need money for, but you have money to increase the budget from last year by another $27 million to go to, you know, different departments and other areas that we really don't know what that money is being spent on, because it's not really itemized. And so where's the itemized budget sheets, right? Where are those at? Where are the detailed budget sheets for the and the expenditures for the different departments? I'd like to see those. I want to know where every cent is going. How many pencils were bought last year? How many pens, paper pads? Where's the money going? And so we need to look at that. And the next person that becomes mayor has to be someone that's going to do that and is going to speak about it. Right? It's about the poor mismanagement of this city by individuals who wanted to enrich themselves, and they have. People who in the private sector may not do as well. And so they do what they must to stay employed by the city, stay elected, to get that position with that nice pension when they're done doing the bidding for those at the top, who will throw them under the bus when shit gets hot. Hopefully it won't, right? But if it does, they're the ones that are going to go down, because ultimately each department head has to sign off on the contracts, the contracts that Moranti talked about, the ones that the city cannot afford, yet we sign off on, or we sign all the time. And why? And with who? What's up with those Harris Beach contracts? How much have they been paid over the years by the city? Right? There's a lot going on here that they don't want a lot of us finding out. And that's probably another reason why they want to stay in politics, so that doesn't come out, right? It's crazy. Shady deals are costing us millions, 1,000%, 1,000%. So, Yonkers gets a lot of money. They do. We generate a lot of money, and the New York State Comptroller has said that in their reports. It's about the money mismanagement. Yonkers spends way too much money on overtime. That's what the reports have said time and time again. They go over budget on the overtime by $4 and $5 million each department. There's so many people working in these departments. Some of them are not qualified for the jobs that they have. They'll have a title and they'll have a salary, but they're not qualified. They didn't pass the test. Supervisors who didn't pass the supervisor's test, yet they're making $100 and some $1,000 a year. Supervisor pay. Guys who are not, skilled in any trade, getting a supervisor position to supervise skilled trade workers. They don't even know how to do the job. How are they going to supervise these guys? And it's not fair to the guys that are skilled that they're not getting the promotions to supervisors, right? So a lot of people that are not qualified in these jobs here in the city of Yonkers, because it's not about doing the best job. It's about getting someone a job, someone that supports, funds them, and helps them maintain a hold on power here. Freddie, there's a public hearing next February 8th to discuss development. Let me know more about it. She will be announcing. Oh, okay, she is. Okay, we'll see. I was hearing that she may be deputy. And comptroller tells us every year we depend on non-recurring revenue, right? Like we did recently when we depended on that money that came from the pandemic, funds, right? That COVID relief funds and all that. Well, we depended too much on that. How many promotions were given out? And I'm not saying that people don't deserve them, but maybe we have to cut back on some promotions. That's what happens, right? In your household, when money's tight, you don't continue spending. You cut back. Maybe you're not going to get, the extra so-and-so. Maybe you're not going to go on the extra vacation or a vacation at all this year. And you can't be upset about it just because that's what you've been used to for the past 10 years. And somehow we got to figure it out. Got to go on that vacation, right? This is part of, working together as a community. But the problem is a lot of the people that get this money are not from the community. I'm just saying. We lose so much money in salary, tax money, right? That in this revenue that we generate here in the city of Yonkers. It's a lot, but a lot of it goes out in salaries, employee salaries, 60, 70% of it. That's a lot. And a lot of it doesn't come back because many of these employees don't live in Yonkers. So they're not buying the homes in Yonkers and paying the property taxes in Yonkers, doing the food shopping in the Yonkers, right? Washing their cars in Yonkers, going to the local stores in Yonkers, unless they're at work, maybe. But why? The city provides them everything they need, right? And that's a problem. That does impact the economy, right? And maybe you may not understand how that impacts the economy, but it does, right? When the city pays 60%, let's say, of the revenue that it generates each year into salaries, right? And to give it to people that leave the city with that money, we lose that money, right? Rather, as opposed to people staying here, buying homes here, paying, the different taxes that come with that, property taxes and other taxes, and then doing the shopping and everything else here. But I understand why people leave. I get it, because they have not managed this city well. And so it's turned to shit. And so people leave, and then they try to gentrify it all up, basically putting, a bow on a pile of dog poo and trying to sell it as, revitalization. But we know it's still all shit. These pipes can't handle all the demand that it's having. They're busting left and right. Right? If someone's not running them over, as DPW crews were fixing another fire hydrant today on Palmer Avenue that apparently someone ran over.
Postman. So and what I really want to stress is that transparency. We've had great transparency. We've had great public commenting period. We'll have at least one more opportunity for the public to come out and take a look at this. I'm hoping before the end of this week, we can vote on this and get it done, because, we have a budget that will be upcoming in the next 2 months. we're going to have to dive right into that. So I think it's best. Let's get through this process and on to the next.
So guys, we do this type of interviews because we want to connect those we elect to office to represent us and the people. Okay, in the past, this did not exist. They did whatever they did. They notify us that it was done. There was not much input from the public. Now there is. Now we have town halls. We have meetings like this where you can take advantage of it and ask questions.
We do. They don't care. They don't listen. Here, Rubbo's over here defending these guys, and that is his job, to defend them, right? How has Yonkers improved? What progress has Yonkers made since John Rubbo was elected? Let's hear what he has to say.
Let's go back when you got elected,
Okay.
to now. Progress that have been done in your district, is it better? Tell us, give us an how am I doing kind of stuff.
Sure. I don't like to pat myself on the back.
Then
I'm
don't.
just from a perspective of a city, and I'll include my district and citywide. We have a lot of activity here in the city. Our unemployment rate is low comparable to other parts of the state. And what's great about Yonkers is we're very diverse, and we have a great base of small businesses. And you can go all over the city and see a great stretch of Irish bars and restaurants on McLean Avenue, to wonderful Latin food on South Broadway. We have up on Central Park Avenue by the Outback, you have the Hacienda supermarket serving, I think they're
Great food there. Have
great
you been
food.
there?
Yes, great food.
Oh yeah.
And they serve good beer there.
Yeah.
So, but you have different, so many different styles of food and experience here in the city. That's one of the reasons I think Yonkers is so great. Very diverse population. And I think we're going to see a lot of activity with the casino. If we do get a full gaming license, which I really hope we do, it's going to create thousands of jobs. Right now, there are about 1,400 jobs there. There'll be as many as 5,000 jobs.
Okay. But don't go further, because you forgot to mention one business, and I think it's important. Yonkers Brewery, right here in the heart of Yonkers, by the Metro North.
Right.
So if you're coming from work from the city, or if you're going to the post office, or if you're doing take care of certain things here in Gary Square, check it out. You have great beer there. We have to know, because you, besides being an elected official, you are a business
I'm a
owner.
business person, right. And we advertise
Promote
with
his
the Yonkers
business.
Voice. We're happy to
That is correct.
advertise with the Yonkers Voice. And it's
The AMS helped.
we're trying. Every small business in the city, they're really trying. And what's great is that you have communities that come together and support those small businesses. Just this past Friday, we cut the ribbon on the Brother to Brother Yonkers Knockouts.
That's right.
Which is great, because if you take a look at this city and look at our crime statistics compared to other places like New York City or Buffalo or Rochester, which are not outside the largest city of 8 million people like we are, we're very fortunate here because, yes, we have a great police department, but we also have fantastic youth programs. Programs like John Morrison's boxing with Brother to Brother and Yonkers Knockouts.
Promotions.
It's an opportunity for young people to go, to have a place that they can go after school, that they learn discipline, that they build like a real family bond.
It just opened up. How do you do all that?
And baseball programs like Patcoy and Bryn Mawr and DYA and Hillcrest and so many others. All these different programs that we have are what make Yonkers great. So how are we doing as a city? I think we're doing well. We could pay attention to some small details, and we will. We do.
Yeah, but we improve. And let's not forget the PAL, the
PAL,
director
right.
of Marisol Mancero. She's the new director.
And she's great, yeah.
She's doing wonderful things at the PAL. Lots of parents say, well, we don't have programs for the youth.
Why?
Guess what, guys? We do.
So many programs.
We have so many. What we need is the parents to take that first step and look for this, for places like Brother to Brother, PAL, and sign up. Yonkers, it's a city full of good stuff. Do we have some stuff that we could do without it? Yeah, Yonkers is a large city.
Very.
Okay, it's a very large city. But if we compare Yonkers to many other cities that are small, our statistics in crime is much lower.
Right, absolutely.
Okay, so we're doing very good. Is there room for improvement? Definitely. Okay, we can always improve for the better.
Right.
John.
Every business, every municipality, every household, every person,
Exactly.
we can always do better.
We can always do better. But if we compare Yonkers to many other places, even at the law enforcement level, you see that we really have a good police department. Do I wish some of them were nicer with Yonkers voice? You damn right. But I'm happy. Sometimes friction does exist.
This guy.
This is my own household. I don't agree with my wife all the time.
Right.
That does not mean that I'm a bad person. She's a bad person.
No.
Okay? It's normal.
Yes, dear.
Yes, dear. That's yes, dear. And that's what I need to say. Yes, sir. Yes.
Right.
So, John, is there anything?
Yes, dear. I did not touch that girl, dear. Folks, this is what these guys are all about, right? Promoting and selling what they're doing. Rubbo's is all about making them look good and painting them in in the best light. That's why they go on his show. That's why they won't come on with me. Now he's doing all these interviews all of a sudden. He always said, Freddie, I'm not into politics. I don't care about the politics. And now he's got everyone coming on his show. They won't come on to mine because I won't do fluff pieces. I'm going to ask you the real questions. I'm going to give it to you straight. If I'm wrong, then I'm wrong. And prove me wrong. Tell me why I'm wrong and show everyone, else who watches the podcast why I'm wrong. But they don't. They don't come on because they know that they cannot run that BS with me. I'm not going to play that game like Rule Roast with them. I don't want to hear none of this promoting of your business and all that, John, because we know how your business was held by AMS once they bought the building and they gave you a better lease, right? You were struggling with that last lease, so they hooked you up. But why? What did you have to do for them for hooking you up, John? Quid quo pro. And what about the city, John? The city gave you money. They loaned you money. Taxpayers loaned John money. Should we get a piece of his Yonkers Brewing Company, the residents, because he never paid that back? That's right. He got a loan from the city for his business, which he never had to pay back. And he's not the only one. Certain individuals, get these special perks and benefits that a lot more of other people do not get, right? He talks about small businesses and how great they're doing. But I know many small businesses that are not doing so great. Many small business owners who are complaining and have been shaken down. Some business owners just went with what they told them. And I feel bad because they were totally taken advantage of, shaken down, and they still gave them the problems. And I feel bad because these people are just like nice people, sometimes a little naive. They don't understand the corruption that happens here in the city of Yonkers. They don't understand when the building department inspector is saying, hey, why don't you use this guy, right? And he'll help you because he knows everything. He's pretty good with the building department, that they're getting a cut of that. And then you're gonna use that guy who's then gonna also overcharge you. Why? Because now he's got to give the building inspector a cut. He's not gonna take that from his money. He's gonna charge you more. And so now you're overpaying. And you're still not guaranteed to get your new CFO. So when they're recommending this electrician, recommending that fire, suppression installation company, which for whatever reason didn't work at the last fire that happened, just recently installed, recommended by the city. Something interesting there, and I'm going to be getting to the bottom of it. They don't care about the business owners. They only care about those who will support them, who will champion for them during elections, make them look good, not speak truth about them in their communities, and then they bless you. They support you because there are many organizations and individuals out there that are doing a lot, making a difference. They're not getting the support. They're not getting any money from them, yet they don't recognize them at all. They say nothing about them. They say the same individuals. The Y, right? And all the programs under the Y. He even says Stop and Shake. But look at what they're doing to Hector Santiago, the founder of Stop and Shake. They're putting him through the ringer over a disorderly conduct charge. Why? And why have so many judges recused themselves from that Hector Santiago case? They had to find a judge up in Orange County. Why have so many judges recused themselves from the Mike Cater lawsuit? The corruption is unbelievable. They talk about these youth programs. They say there's so many youth programs. Yonkers is great. We have a lot of youth programs. And Rubbo blames the parents because people say there's not enough youth programs. Where are the youth programs? Why do they say that? Why? Because they don't see any progress being made among the youth. They don't see any changes. They don't see any opportunities for them. Where are they? They name a lot of different programs, but what are they doing? That's the one thing that they never say. What is it exactly that they are doing and what results are they having, right? But it's not their money. They don't care. Here you go. I'll give you tax money or grant money that I get from the state or from the federal government to these individuals. As long as you guys are going to go support me, knock on doors for me, make sure I get elected, here you go. Does it benefit the people that it's supposed to benefit? I don't know. I don't care. But those that are truly passionate about seeing a real change, real results, because the goal for people like me and others who are truly committed to this and are genuinely passionate about it, are not looking for a come up somehow, but looking to help kids and the youth progress, because I understand the statistics, they don't work with them, right? They don't work with the people who are interested in seeing the results. I want to show you the kid that made it out. I want to show you the kids that made it out and came back to give back, pay it forward like I do now. I have kids helping me. But, one thing I was talking to someone today, I just found out that, I work with a lot of the special, education students. They make the sandwiches. Some of them have even come out with me to hand them out. My Feed the Need program has brought special education, students together with general education students, right? And the teachers are like, wow, that's cool, because they want to hang out with them. They ask, can we go down and help them? Because it's really the special education students that are doing it. But a lot of the general population kids, or gen ed as they call them, come in and want to come and hang out with them. They build friendships with them. They've communicated, right? And now they're understanding that, nothing different about kids, just because they may be special education students, right? And they're bonding over the program that I started, Feed the Need program, that, serves the homeless, a neglected population. And I don't do it for anything, because there's nothing to get out of that. Why don't they do it? Because there's no votes from the homeless. But you think they say any, thing to recognize any of the people that have helped me and volunteered with me, have donated, recognized us? No. Say, how can we help build this program because we think it's great? No. They'll completely ignore these people, the ones that are producing results, right? The police commissioner said at a PTA meeting that they had over the stabbing incident at the high school that there are over 43 youth programs. And the reason he said that was because a parent stood up and said, we need more youth programs. There are over 43. Rubbo's right, there are a lot. But because they're not producing results, it doesn't seem like there are any programs. Because nothing is really changing, it doesn't seem like they have places to go. And it's also not just about opening a place to go, say, hey, here you go ahead, go. They got to want to go, right? They got to want to feel comfortable. They have to like the environment. Because that's one thing I learned. Not all kids are going to take to everyone. So, you may be doing something, but they may not take to you. Your style, your approach, something about it, they may not like it. So you can't just put them all into this box, right? Of this, or do this, right? It's all about who they gravitate to. And kids, are very pure. They know, they see genuineness and, and people that are honest, and they gravitate to people like that. That's one thing about kids. They know when a person's being honest and genuine, and they will come over to that person and open up to them, right? And so I applaud the people that are, out there trying to do stuff. But there are other people out there, and I'm not just talking about me. I'm talking about other individuals that I know that don't ever get recognitions, that are out there doing stuff, that still do it, and they're not looking for recognition. They're not. That's why they don't make a big stink. That's why you don't even know. But my wife says, Freddie, you got to let them know, because you have basement politics and you talk about it. And if you don't let them know what you do, then they're going to say you're just talking, not doing it. Like Mr. Rubbo says, action, not words. But I am out there. I've saved people from being kicked out of their apartments when they needed money for their rent, their children's daycare or summer camps, cable bills, even groceries, boots on cars. People have said, Freddie, I call you because you're the only one that I know that will come through for me. Many times. Not their family member, but me. And I can show you the text messages, but I'm not going to, and I don't need to. But the point is that there are people out there that are truly giving, that just don't say nothing and never get recognition, and they recognize the same individuals. And and it's interesting that they mentioned Snug, another program, right? And I just found out, Basement Politics was just finding out that not too long ago, the Yonkers police went into the YMCA where the Snug program was having a meeting, and they arrested one of the individuals that works for the Snug program. According to sources and the information that I got, the individual was involved in a robbery that happened in a building on the same street that the Snug program or the YMCA is located, Riverdale. And apparently the individual and another person attempted to rob a man in the hallway of a building. When they could not get his bag off the man's shoulder that was wrapped around, he had like one of those pouches, right? The individual that works for Snug, from what sources are telling me, cut the guy, right? He was trying to cut, I guess, the strap off, they told me, and then he cut the guy's arm. He was arrested at the Snug program during a meeting, but he was released on R&R, his own reconnaissance, while the other individual, not the one who had the knife, but the other individual, still remains in jail. And I just thought that was strange. Why did the individual that had the weapon not get remanded, or why was he released so quickly? And then I wondered if it had anything to do because of where he works and any negative press coming from that. And the point that I make that is because that's information that we've just recently received here at Basement Politics. And, we have to understand, folks, if we want to make a real change here in the city of Yonkers, we have to vet the individuals, the candidates. We have to do a thorough vetting of these individuals. Are they qualified? Are they capable? Are they going to take the city in the direction that we should be heading? Because I've never seen nothing like this. I've lived in many different places throughout the country, and I've seen the governments in other cities, and I've never seen nothing like this. Never. It's a joke. It's a circus, as many people say. And we have to bring back sophistication and true intelligence and integrity, honesty, and real transparency this year. I'm Freddie Vasquez. This is Basement Politics Unfiltered. I'm out there truly wanting to make a change. That's my sole goal and agenda. And again, we're just throwing money, or they're just throwing money into things that are not producing a result, a return on that investment. But why do they keep doing it? Because it's their friends. Right? Let's shout out this person from the PAL. No disrespect to Marisol, but I hear that Eleanor Spano is taking a liking to you now. And so now you're the It's Latina. And I hear Carmen is pissed at that. She's been trying to sabotage you. And this is what it's like here in Yonkers. Two Latina women, instead of being able to come together, they put them against each other. Carmen is the Latina by Nick's side. She doesn't want no one coming up there. Marisol, no. But they like her. They like her a lot. Her son just became a cop. Now she's in the in crowd, social political elite. She's going to get the shout outs now. That's how it goes. That's how it goes. And I know these individuals. I know them, right? I understand what's happening here in the city of Yonkers very well. Trust and believe that. By the way, Marisol, you know about what's happened to me. And why I really don't care too much to, be easy what I say, because when you don't help, I'm saying, someone that's being attacked, the family and stuff like that, when you know some information, this is my livelihood, this is my family, my reputation, my wife's reputation, potentially a job or a business, lots of money that could go down the drain, and that these individuals were trying to intentionally accuse me or intentionally create this narrative that I somehow was connected to child pornography, And so when I think of Latino unity, I think of, coming out united, whether publicly or privately, and assuring that no one does that to another fellow Latino when they don't deserve it and they are doing amazing things. And we need people like that in this city. We need Latinos like that to be role models to the Latino youth and all the youth. Instead, we stay quiet and we allow this corruption and this evil to persist so we can move on up. It's never about Latino unity. So that's why I don't want to hear none of that. Ain't that right, Maria George? I'm coming. 2023, I'm on offense. Maria George, I don't like that. So how did the Lakeisha Collins investigation go, Maria? Did she ever find anything on the child pornography? Did she find it, Maria? Meanwhile, she's over here crying about being called a black puppet, little black puppet. I didn't call her that, Maria. Didn't say that. But that still doesn't equate to trying to pin child pornography on somebody, right? I mean, when you go around, trying to ruin someone's reputation, they're secretly whispering to people that, they're into child pornography. Like that's not the same, right? And I guess you could say maybe it was payback, I guess, right? Because you guys did that first, And so, it's just disgusting, Maria. Don't you think? Don't you think, Maria? I think that's disgusting. What if I say you were, into little boys, Maria? What if I say that, you had, pictures of little boys in your computer, Maria? By the way, Maria George is the chief of staff of Lakeisha Collins Bellamy, the city council president, who, for rewards that she will receive down the road, introduced the legislations to extend term limits. Ain't that right, Maria George? Don't you think that's nasty? What if I said that? Maria George, the chief of staff of Lakeisha Collins Bellamy, has little kid porn in her computer. She was watching it in Lakeisha's office. Almost got caught by Lakeisha. Yeah, that's right. No, that didn't happen. But what if I said that? And I was just blasting it out or whispering it to people in groups, prominent individuals, mayors and heads of, You folks are silly. Silly, silly, silly little kids. That's Maria George, the city council president's chief of staff, going around telling people that Freddie Vasquez has child pornography and that her boss, Lakeisha Collins Bellamy, is investigating me for child pornography. How did that investigation turn out, Maria? How did it turn out? Can these folks spend a day in Eastchester, Scarsdale, Bronxville and see what programs look like? Our kids are missing out. Absolutely. And this is why I speak on it, because I've seen it. I was fortunate enough to leave Yonkers to finish my education. And I say that, not with pride, right? I don't say that in, with any sense of happiness or, it's unfortunate that I say that. It's unfortunate. And I've seen what other communities provide to their kids, their students in the public schools, right? I've seen it. But again, it's all about the government that they have. They have a real government. We have a puppet show, right? What are the rules of redistricting? In 2021, New York Governor Kathy Hochul signed legislation on rules related to fair redistricting. They are summarized as the following. Districts are nearly equal in population. The smallest to largest district may only differ by 5% in population. Districts are not drawn with the intent or result of denying equal opportunity of racial or language minority groups to participate in the political process. Districts consist of contagious territory. Well, contagious, meaning, I don't know what this says there, the rest of it. The city helps promote his beer bar and holds events there. Isn't that illegal or unethical? Absolutely. That's what the city does, right? So, like going back to the Spano administration. So, with Zupa too, I'll tell you a real quick story. Zupa too was having trouble. Right? A lot of these restaurants down by the waterfront were having trouble, right? Restaurants like Zupa, Xavier's, the Dolphin, right? But, the mayor didn't want them to fail or fold because it'd be, a bad look, right? They didn't want other businesses, people seeing that, or it looking like it's not going to work out. That's a bad look for them, it looked like they failed, right? So, they help, prop a lot of businesses up. They help, not all, a bunch of businesses, but select businesses. John Rubbo also, right? He got helped with that loan. Dos Marias got a $50,000 loan, and these people didn't have to pay this back. Now, do you think the Spanos gave it to them out of their pocket? I don't think so. Came out of taxpayer money. So Zupa was another one, right? They were, not doing too well. A lot of people weren't going there really. I mean, I've been there, I've been there a few times, I was invited there. I've been there. I've had, dinner there, been to events. I prefer Pizza Beat. I'm just saying, I prefer Pizza Beat. That's just me. But, they weren't doing too well. And then the individuals that had the master lease holders, were charging them, a pretty good, rent, and it just wasn't working for them. So what the administration did, the Spano administration did, was they went and purchased that master lease from the original master lease holder in order to give Zupa a better lease, right? A lease that was, obviously the rent was less, they didn't have to pay as much and stuff. And then, up above it, there's, it's kind of, conspicuous. A lot of people don't know, but on top of it, there's a side door there. Zupa is the medical marijuana dispensary that's been there for years now. It's been there for at least 5 years now, right? And that's, tied to the Spanos. There, there's ownership there with the Spanos. So, they got that space, there using taxpayer money to purchase the lease, right? It's over $1 million. Right. And so then they helped out Zupa. And so, from, what I'm hearing, again, I'm not saying this is all the way true, but, I could believe it. They got a piece of Zupa's, right? And so that's how they get a piece of a lot of these businesses, utilizing taxpayer money, city money to help these businesses out in return for equity, like Castle Royale, the Royal Palm gas station on Nepperhan. I think there's another one also. So, that's how they get in there. So that's what they did, and then they tell people to go there, right? You have to go there. Hey, go do your events there so you could drive business there, so they can actually start making money. And it looks like, it's really a place that's doing well, and people really like to go there, but it's not worth it. I mean, the food is, and listen, I learned business, and I learned that I was close with the Italian. I'm still close Italian guys, right? And so I'm talking about real, and I know a real Italian, but I mean, I'm talking about Italians. It's kind of like reminds me of this my older generation, the Puerto Ricans, that Puerto Rico, this, that, that's how they were back in Italy, the country, and they made their own sauce, their own, they call it gravy, that's what they don't call it sauce. It's gravy. And every year, the grandmothers, would come in the backyard and stuff, and they stop stomping on the tomatoes and all that, and they jar it up. And I guess, it was great. And so point is that they take me to some of the best Italian restaurants, right? We go down to Little Italy and stuff, man. So I eat some great, and so I know. So my palate, and that's when I go to the expensive, steakhouse and stuff. Those are the guys that show me, what a dry aged steak was, and that you don't put A1 sauce on your steak. You just eat, you know what I mean? And you don't get it well done. You don't do that to a steak, right? You get it medium, it's dry aged 28 days, and but it's all right. I'm just saying, I wouldn't, it's not crazy, but so they that's what they do. They tell people to go to these businesses to to patron the businesses so they can make money and stuff. That's part of, you help them out, you support them through campaigns. They do events there at the Yonkers Brewing Company. Also, the Castle Royale was another one, right? They do a lot of events at, right? And, Spanos have some, and so that's also a way to funnel the campaign money, right? Think about it, right? It's the same way that the mayor was using his brother-in-law's. I don't know if they still do it. I don't know since the Mike Cater lawsuit, but they use Mike Spano's brother-in-law's printing company to do all the printing for all the candidates, right? And so a lot of the money, when you look at the expenditures for these campaigns, a lot of the money went into printing, right? And so this is the thing that people get in their minds now, right? They say, oh, well, to win a campaign. Excuse me, I'm so thirsty. To win a campaign, you have to, have X amount of dollars because, and I say, what's the money for? Well, you have to do at least 3 mailers, and that can cost you like $10,000 a piece. I said, damn, $10,000 to mail out some stuff. And I'm like, I used to get palm cards when I used to do music stuff, promote my recording studio. I get 5,000 of them for $100, right? Laminated and everything, right? I know, but I think that's just how they funnel the money. Right, the donation money, right? And maybe it's not his brother-in-law that owns it. Maybe they just put it under his brother-in-law's name so they can really get the money, right? And so that's why they put a lot of the money there. They gotta, get that money out of the campaign account, right? They can't leave it in there, right? They can't, so, right? So these are the tricks that they do, right? They push these things to their businesses or businesses that's connected to them somehow. And that's how they make the money. That's how they funnel the money back to their pockets. That's all. The city health, when you watch their constant small store openings on channel 78, the channel, I pay for that, and that politicians use 24/7. You begin to recognize the same location. What they don't tell you, that numerous businesses start and fail at the same location. No PPE for them. I'm sorry, maybe I have to read that over. What did the channel I pay for and that politicians use 24/7, you begin to recognize the same locations when you watch their constant small store openings. What do you mean, like by that? But I, from someone that's been in business for a very long time here in the city of Yonkers, that knows a lot of people, a lot of stuff, very tapped into Yonkers, deep, says that a lot of businesses that have opening ceremonies done by the mayor don't last. So when I was, I started to get my opening ceremony because the mayor, Vinny, offered it to me. I didn't even ask. He offered, hey, let's do an opening ceremony. I think it'd be great. Then he hits me again. The mayor is going to do it. I said, okay, we'll do it at this time. And instead, he sent CPS instead of the mayor to do a grand opening ceremony, right? I'm glad I didn't get it because they were like, oh, don't worry, it's bad luck anyway, right? So it is what it is, right? Although I got CPS, but CPS, believe it or not, has been good luck because it's not true. It hasn't been real. So what that has allowed me to do is become an advocate, right? And fight for change. And I got to know all you folks. I got to, do the basic policy. So, I'm not too mad at that. Yeah, that's crazy. They do have programs, but they're poorly advertised. They're poorly advertised. Listen, what do they really do? Like, I have these ideas and, to do this. What do they really do though? I mean, again, some of these individuals also, have to figure things out themselves, right? And so again, you have this, individual from this snug program it's guns backwards, right? It's supposed to stop gun violence or, identify, beefs and stuff between people and, help stop this type of crime, right? But instead they're engaged in it, right? Then how's it going to be successful? How do you know what I'm saying? So this is what, I'm saying? So you have to we have to really overhaul everything. Okay. We just have to get in a new government there, go look at everything, stop everything. Let's go, assess everything that's been going on. Where's all this money gone? Do we still need to be giving this money? How successful has it been? Okay. You know what? You had X amount of years, we don't really see any worth in that, any value. We're going to try something else. Right. No, they keep the same individual, we don't get no results. So you can advertise it all you want because they see it. I see it advertised, but it's just what's really being done. You got to engage these kids. These kids are even becoming even more difficult nowadays to engage. So you have to be unique. You have to step outside the box, man. You kids. I don't know how to say it. It just comes naturally, right? And people maybe know when you're good with kids, you're good with kids, man. I don't really know how to explain it, and I can just. I tap into kids because I see them, at their age, I see myself and I understand, what they may be going through. A lot of them, when they're coming from single family homes, from poverty, unsure what they want to do with their lives, don't know which direction to head, just totally, clueless and not, understanding what your options are. And then, that's a lot of times what leads kids down the wrong path. Right. So if you got individuals that don't understand that themselves. How they're going to teach that to somebody else is what I'm saying, right? That how you're not going to have the success. It's just what I'm saying. Keep your friends close and your enemies close, as they say. Yep, absolutely. That's not only unethical, it's illegal. Freddie, go over the rest of what I shared. It states it cannot benefit incumbent. Is Ron Matten suing? I don't know what the rest of it is. Hard to pop it up when I do the podcast. See the rest. Rubbo needs to be held accountable for his PPP fraud, right? Because Rubbo didn't pay for PPP loans that he got, but he was sued by his former employees for not paying the wages. So what'd you do with the money, Rubbo, right? These individuals are individual. What'd you do with the money, man? I don't know, right? So you're talking about the redistricting where rules here? I'm sorry. I couldn't see the rest of it. I don't know how to bring it up. But anyway, folks, hour 30. I'm Freddie Vasquez, Basement Politics. That's John Rubbo, the councilman for the 4th District. I'm up out of here. I don't know what else to say. These guys are a bunch of liars. Peace out. Thank you.
Freddie wins.
I hope they don't have a meeting about me again, right? Because I know they had a meeting. The YMCA. That's right, folks. I know a lot of people. I'm from Yonkers. I'm connected to Yonkers, right? And so people, again, I've helped a lot of people out along the way. So because of that, I got people that look out for me, right? Because that's who I am. It doesn't matter what these individuals try to say in their fake pages, right? What I've done, people know who I am. So things come back to me because people like me. Just how I found out all about that Vinny Spano, Rubro's, incident, right? And what they did. So I heard about the meetings that they were having about me, the YMCA and people in the YMCA, because I was talking about the programs. I just want to say this, listen, this is, I do a podcast, right? And, I keep it honest and, I'm not talking about anyone specific. It's, politics, what the elected officials do, people that work for the city, right? And if things are not, kosher, then that has to be spoken about. It's not about anyone personal bids. I don't name any specific, whatever. I don't care about that. But I am going to talk about, programs if they're being funded constantly and we're not seeing results, right? That's important to know, right? Especially when you have kids getting, stabbed up still, or if, we get information about someone from one of these programs, get into trouble. We're going to speak on that. That's what we do. That's basement politics, right? And, so don't go to a meeting, don't have a meeting, the executive director, whatever your name is. If, you want to have a conversation with me, you can call me, okay? You can call me. Don't be the reason why there's a problem. You know what I'm saying? I'm Freddie Vasquez. This is Basement Politics Unfiltered. I love you, beautiful people. Some things you may not understand why I say them, but just know I'm saying them for a reason. And it's not because I'm crazy. Definitely not.
Freddie wins.
You're watching Basement Politics with my dad, Freddie Vasquez. You're watching Basement Politics with my dad, Freddie Vasquez.
In another one, Mr. Rubbo lied to me, and I don't vote for a person that lied to me. Thank you very much. In another one, Mr. Rubbo lied to me, and I don't vote for a person that lied to me. Thank you very much. In another one, Mr. Rubbo lied to me, and I don't vote for a person that lied to me. Thank you very much.
Don't vote for a person that lies to you. Thank you very much.
I want to end this quick because I'm greedy and I want some of the butter chicken. So thank you.
In another one, Mr. Rubbo lied to me, and I don't vote for a person that lied to me. Thank you very much.
Thank you for watching Basement Politics with my husband, Freddie Vasquez.
Freddie wins.